Hi, my name's Tom, welcome to ear training. This lesson is going to be building upon what we looked at in the last lesson, so check that one out if you haven't watched it, and then pop back here and we'll get started. So in this lesson we're going to be finishing off our study of the basic scales or modes from the built from the major scale, and we're going to be playing the Phrygian mode, the Mixolydian mode, and the Locrian mode, or Locrian mode, depending on how you want to say it. Now, unlike the last video, these scales aren't paired. In the last video we had the Lydian mode and the major scale, which were very similar, and the Dorian mode and the natural minor scale, which were very similar. These are sort of the leftovers, but just because I've put them to the end doesn't mean they're not useful. They certainly are. We're going to start with the Phrygian mode, which is closely related to the natural minor scale, but has a very distinct sound. Again, it's just one note different, but this one note does make a lot of difference. So over a drone, here's the Phrygian mode. Now, I'm sure most of you heard it straight away, and that's that second note, instead of being, has been lowered a fret or a semitone, and is now a minor second, and that's what gives it this scale, its unique sound. Whenever we've got that flattened second note, just think Phrygian, and that should stand out. You might have heard this used in sort of traditional Spanish guitar music is often focused around the Phrygian mode, Spanish classical guitar music, and it's often used in a bit more of an affected way in soundtracks for films sometimes, if you're in the Middle East and you want to get that sort of effect, that stereotypical sound. That's what we tend to go for. So the next mode is the Mixolydian mode, and even though I've put it to the end, this mode is actually incredibly useful and incredibly important, whereas the major scale can be related to the major chord, the minor scale, minor chord. The Mixolydian mode is related to the dominant 7 chord, and like I talked about in the 7th video, in the 4-note chord video, check that out if you haven't, then this scale is very useful because the dominant 7 chord is used a lot in jazz and modern harmony, so of course the accompanying scale is very important. It's one note different from the major scale again, but the difference is perhaps easier to tell than the Lydian for some people. Instead of a major 7 at the top, we've got a minor 7, now you might have heard this a lot in folk music, in blues music, in rock music, in jazz music. It's really used everywhere, and it's got a very strong sound to it. So remember, we're listening for this almost bluesy 7th note against the major 3rd interval, which the combination of the two creates the Mixolydian tonality. And the third, the last mode that we're going to be looking at, is probably the most overlooked and shunned of all the modes of the major scale. Just like its accompanying chord, the minor 7 flat 5 chord, it doesn't really get used too much in a consistent standpoint. It might be used as to create a little bit of dissonance over the 5 chord in a 2-5-1, or occasionally just to create sparse dissonance before resolution, but you will very rarely hear a melody constructed around the Locrian or Locrian mode. Outside of death metal, really. That's the only place I've really heard it used fully. And the Lydian mode, the Locrian mode sounds like this. Now, if we compare it to the major scale, pretty much all the notes are altered. We've got a flattened second, we've got the minor 3rd, The perfect fourth is the only thing apart from the root that would stay the same. We've got a flat 5, the minor 6, which would be the flat 6, and the flat 7. And then back to the root again. Now, I mentioned at the start that if you hear a flat second, it's going to be the Phrygian mode. That is unless everything else you hear is disgusting. This scale is very, very tense, especially when we play it over the root. So in these examples, anything that makes you feel incredibly uncomfortable, that will be the Locrian mode. I don't have any triggers or real life examples to compare it to. I just hear it and my brain can't comprehend what's going on. So in this context, I know it has to be the Locrian mode because it's so outside sounding. So again, let's listen to the Phrygian mode and then the Locrian mode, just so you can hear that flat second used in its two situations. So that's the Phrygian mode and then the Locrian mode. Now the two of them are actually closely related because instead of comparing them to the major scale, you can compare them to the minor, and the Locrian mode is really just the Phrygian with a flattened fifth, but for some reason that one difference creates so much more tension within the scale that it has so fewer sonorous points to land on, that it does make the scale almost unusable. So now I'm going to switch off the camera. There's going to be 20 examples as usual. We're just going to be doing these 3 modes this time, so it'll be one of these 3. Hopefully you should be able to identify them all pretty easily, but try and lock them into your ears, because the next lesson we're going to be looking at all the modes we've looked at in this lesson and the previous lesson, but with a little bit of a twist that should hopefully make it a little bit more challenging for you. If you've enjoyed this lesson, then please rate and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you next time. For every example, you'll hear each scale played over a drone, up and down 1 octave twice. Example 1. Example 2. Example 3. Example 4. Example 5. Example 6. Example 7. Example 8. Example 9. Example 10. Example 11. Example 12. Example 13. Example 14. Example 15. Example 16. Example 17. Example 18. Example 19. Example 20.